Walking through West Terrace Cemetery, we will look for Joyce's last resting place. Norman and Joyce were married about 2 months. Now, Joyce supposedly committed suicide by taking a chemical that's found in many medicine cupboards of the time. The most common was Lysol, a cleaning product, disinfectant, marketed as a feminine hygiene product. It was used by many of that era for cleaning and personal hygiene, and it was a favourite for suicide, and it was also taken a lot by mistake with fatal consequences. Joyce's mother died 4.5 years earlier, and Joyce was said to have never really recovered from that, and often, or is known to have told people she thought about suicide. Now, Joyce was buried in the West Terrace Cemetery, and we just found the grave, and she's also buried with a Henrietta Hobbs. Now, this was her mother, who had lost her husband and remarried, so that's why the name change. 10 days after Joyce's death, on the 24th of February, Norman left a suicide note or letter. It was found by his mother, and she reported him missing. The police eventually found Norman lying on Joyce's grave with a bottle in his nearby or in his hand, and he was violently ill. Now, whether he took it when he saw the police coming, I don't know. It was strychnine, so it was a deadly poison type substance, of which he may not have had too much in his system because he vomited a lot. Taken to hospital, and he survived that attempt, but then he got charged with suicide, intention of suicide, which was a crime back then. Placed under medical supervision, spending 6 weeks at the Enfield Reception House, which is not quite a mental home but similar. There was soon to be a second attempt, which he also survived. Norman was later to say that he only married because he was told that he might get a certain job if he was a married man, but he did not get the job. Next we'll hear about Norman 8 months after all this drama. So we're in the city now. This is where Norman and Ethel were to meet. They'd been a couple for 2 months, but they parted in September the 12th and then got back together a bit. He met her Saturday night in the city. They walked home towards her house, which is on the other side of the city, fair way, probably 39-minute walk, to Ross Street, Mile End, where she told him she thought more of him than any other boy she'd ever met. But she was still young, nearly 18, and wanted to have a bit more fun before she got married. So she said, "Will you come back to me when I'm 21? He said he would come back any time. So he gave her 7 shillings and sixpence to buy a pair of shoes, and then they arranged to meet at King William and Curry, which was just up the road, later in the afternoon. So she met him there. She was with her friend Doris, and she told him she was going out with friends that night to North Adelaide till 11 p.m. So they had a bit of a quarrel, with her friend Doris waiting. So later, Ethel and Doris walked down towards the rotunda on the River Torrens and met 2 boys. 21-year-old Arnold Evans and his nephew 16. They talked a while and then went and hired a boat and went rowing on the River Torrens. And they stopped for tea at Jolly's restaurant after a while and then went back rowing. They headed up east towards Frome Street, Albert Street Bridge, where Ethel was seen by one of Norman's friends, who quickly rowed back to Jolly's boathouse to tell Norman his girlfriend was in a boat with another 2 boys up the river. So he quickly hired a boat and took off after her. So Norman came from Jolly's boathouse, which was that way, and rowed up here and saw Ethel in the boat with the two boys. He yelled some obscenities at her and told her to get in his boat or he would tip all the four of them out. Got in his boat not to cause trouble because he was willing to fight the other guy on the shore, on the banks. So to avoid a problem, she got in his boat and they rowed somewhere eastwards, which is down that way. Now she was sitting outside, like on the edge of the boat, and they were arguing. He was upset because she was with another guy and he thought she belonged to him, sort of thing. So they didn't get far down this river here, and he told her to shut up or he'd push her out, and she said, yeah, you would. And they went in, and it was dark at this time. It was probably between 8 and 9 o'clock at night, and it was somewhere around this section. They went in, or she went in, and then Doris said, isn't somebody going to save her? Because she couldn't swim. So Norman sat stunned in the boat for a while, and he still had another friend in the boat with him. And then Norman said he rowed over towards the bank here, which is pretty hard to do, to get out anywhere. And then he said he ran all the way to the police station, which is up King William Street and near Victoria Square, which is a long way from here. But what actually happened was he rowed the boat back to Jolly's boathouse, which is back towards the west end of this creek, past the bridge, creek, river. But he took the boat back, and then they walked up to King William Street and to near the GPO building, not far from the police station, Victoria Square area, which is a fair way to walk as well, but he said he ran. So they decided to have a cup of coffee and discuss how they were going to tell their story. So he's already lost his girlfriend in there, he's lost his mate, and he's gone for coffee. So he eventually goes to the police station and tells them it was all an accident, and he tried to grab her as she went over, but he couldn't. But his timeline with the story with the other friend of his didn't add up, so he was charged originally with murder. This is the east side of the Frome Bridge, and that's where they met down there and then continued on not far up there, maybe as far as those birds, a bit further maybe, and that's where they drowned, and that's where they found the bodies, same spot in the murky water below, 9 foot 6 inches of water where they found the body. So people walking along here heard the scream, but as she went over she screamed, but they only had gas lights here then. So somewhere down that river, poor Ethel and Jack drowned. So it didn't take them long from here, from this bridge, to row down that way and argue. Quick push over. 2 lives tragically lost. Right, I've found Jack's grave. Jack gave his life. Jack gave his life for a friend. He dived in trying to save Ethel when Norman pushed her off the boat. He was in the boat with Norman, one of his friends, and he grabbed hold of her and couldn't hold on, and eventually they both went down together and didn't come back up. So Jack was originally from Victoria by the looks. It's here, Westfield Cemetery, under a tree. Rest in peace, Jack. You tried. So poor Ethel didn't deserve to be here under tragic circumstances. She was only close to her 18th birthday. Rest in peace, Ethel and family.